Hi, my name is Mark Turpin with 9line, and in today's demonstration I'm going to walk you through the experience of configuring the basics with the 9line service and configuring the Jabber client to support the 9line service. And this is all part of the functionality included in 9line for CUCM, which is our solution for Cisco on-premises customers that do not have CER or wish to use our Jabber Gadget to update locations for remote workers instead of using the off-premises user portal feature built into CER. Let's go ahead and dig into our demo. First, I want to show you what the user experience is like, and then we'll talk about the configuration required to make this happen. So I'm going to go ahead and launch my Jabber client. Now that I've launched my Jabber client, we can see that I have a E911 notification that has popped up informing me of whatever disclaimer information your organization decides to represent. The CSF client, you'll notice, has not registered. This will not happen until the user acknowledges this message. They are prompted with this message every time the Jabber client signs in and registers. But if they're just using their Jabber client and working from home and they're not turning off their computer, they're not going to be bothered with this message. So they only see this when they're turning their computer on and registering their Jabber client in the morning. Once I hit OK, the client will go ahead and register, and then I have the ability to go over to our gadget and log into the system and select the appropriate location for my device. Now I'll go ahead and pick the organization that I belong to. This is because I'm tied to multiple organizations as an admin. An individual user would log directly into their organization. Now I'm presented with the opportunity to see what address is currently tied to my CSF client, as well as update my location. I can pick from existing locations that have been configured in the system, or I can add a new location. This address would be validated by the 9line service to ensure that a proper, valid, accurate address is being sent to the PSAP when 911 is called. I'll go ahead and just change my location to another facility. Now my address has been updated, written to the 9line database, and I'm ready to make a compliant 911 call. Let's talk about some of the configuration work that goes into this next. So here we see the E911 notification URL that's configured for the Jabber client. This is what controls the pop-up that we show to the user when the client registers. We also have the Jabber plugin config, and this controls the settings for the page that is rendered inside the Jabber client that connects to the 9line service, allowing the user to update this information. If you have an older version of Call Manager, that's okay too. All that you need to do is just configure these parameters inside your XML file and upload it, just as you normally would for any other setting. Once the XML file has been created, you can assign this via the service profile configuration settings in the user management features, or if you're using the global Jabber config file, it would apply to your users as a whole. There are ways that you can apply things to just individual Jabber clients if you want to test this feature before you roll it out to your entire user community. Let's look at the call routing now. Now that we're looking at the call routing, you can see that we have a regular 911 pattern that's accessible in my phone's partition and is pointed at my cube. We have one extra bit of configuration here, and that's the 9line external call control profile. This connects Cisco Unified Communications Manager with the call policy servers at the 9line side of the cloud and provides the feedback loop that's necessary for 9line to interpret that an incoming call is being made by a particular device and allows us to stamp geocoded location information on that incoming 911 call and ensure that we're providing accurate, compliant 911 calls for your organization that have been properly routed to the correct PSAP based upon information provided by your users. Now we're logged into the 9line portal. From here, I can see the same information that was present in my Jabber client, but I can also see information about any physical phones that I might have access to. As an administrator, you can decide to allow your users to enter in information for physical phones to ease the wire mapping process in your environment. The same process occurs for me setting my address on a physical phone. I would simply edit the location, set it as my current location based upon an existing address that has been added to the system, or I can go in and add a new location, just as I could inside the Jabber Gadget. We understand how important it is as an administrator to be able to see what's going on with your user community. Unlike CER's off-premises user portal feature, which requires the users to enter in their information and only the user can see the address information that they've entered, we've incorporated visibility for you as the administrator to see what information has been entered in by the users and how they're configuring their system. So now I can easily go and look at the view details, see any addresses that have been assigned by that user, along with any of the devices and the addresses that they've assigned. We do support multiple clusters with a single agent, lowering the overall footprint that's required from a virtual machine perspective so that you do not have to deploy multiple CER clusters or multiple agents across your multiple clusters if you have a large call control environment. Another convenient feature is being able to predefine locations at a system level. This enables you to create locations that can be utilized by your user community in lieu of relying on the users to enter in this address information. One of the excellent features that we provide as part of the 9-line for CUCM integration is that you don't have to worry about ERLs and ELINs and creating phone numbers to go along with every location in your system. You can simply send your calls to 9-line with their native directory number, and we will take care of adding the appropriate telephone numbers and stamping the geocoded location information on that call so that you don't have to consume DIDs just to make a 911 call. This feature is what we refer to as our DID pooling feature, and we enable this for all of our 9-line for CUCM customers, and it can also be leveraged by our 9-line for CER customers. This drastically cuts down on the number of phone numbers that are required to implement a 911 calling compliance solution. And further, it really eases the administrative burden of having to manage the dial plan because we are going to return the calls back to you as a native extension number that integrates directly in with your dial plan. Here you can see an example 933 test call that was made by one of the test users and gives us complete visibility into when the call was made, how long the call lasted, what cluster the call belongs to, what address was utilized, and what user is tied to it, if any. And so with that, that's a brief demonstration of how the 9-line for CUCM product works and what the user experience is like both as a traditional end user and telephony administrator. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out to us on our website and schedule a time for a demo. Thanks for watching.